So if you want to start streaming your gameplay on platforms like Twitch, or you want to get into podcasting, then getting a good cheap mic is definitely the first thing you should do to increase the quality of your audio. And you don't have to spend much money in order to get a fairly decent budget mic. So here I've got two options to look at. They both cost around $50, $60. So we've got the Fifine AM8 and the Maono PD200X. So we're going to be looking at the build quality and the pros and cons of both, so that by the end of this video, you'll know if either of these are right for you. Before we go any further, I do need to point out that both companies sent me their mics to review, but neither of them are paying for or sponsoring this video. So you are, as always, going to get my honest opinion. There are a lot of similarities between both these mics, so they will both output over USB, which makes it super simple for just plugging into a laptop or a PC, and then you're ready to go. But both mics will also grow with you as well, because they've got an XLR output as well. So if you want to then plug that into an audio mixer or audio interface, then you can do that too. For this video, I've got the outputs of both of these mics plugged into both dual XLR inputs into the Sony FX30 that I'm recording here. Plus I've got OBS off to the side here, where I'm recording both USB outputs of both mics as well. So I'm going to switch between the different audio sources and also point out on screen which one you're listening to, so you can hear if there's any difference. And actually, as I'm recording on OBS at the moment, I'm just using a webcam that's up there. So if you're interested in learning about sort of OBS and podcasting and streaming setups, and you want to know what webcams and microphones that I use, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I'll do a video on that another time. I don't know. But for today, we are looking at these two mics. Looking at the build quality first, and the AM8 is a predominantly plastic build, although it does have a metal encasing for the mic module inside here. Other than that, you will notice the RGB at the bottom, which is easily changeable using a capacitive button that's on the bottom, so it can cycle between a number of preset colors as well as the rainbow pattern that I've got here. Underneath here are both adjustment dials for the gain of the mic and also for the headphone output as well, because there's a 3.5mm audio jack at the bottom. Now, all of those buttons only work over USB. If you're recording over XLR, they don't work. Same goes for the RGB as well. So if you don't have your USB plugged in and you're just using XLR, the RGB don't work. You can, however, record over XLR and have RGB. You'll just have to have both of these cables plugged in. The same goes for the PD200X. That has the same rule. The RGB won't work unless it's plugged in over USB. So the mount on here isn't a shock mount, but it is an all metal design, so it's really durable. You can also mute the mic on here. Again, that only works over USB. And I kind of like it and I kind of don't. I like it because it's really quiet, because it's just touch sensitive. So you don't really hear me tap that when I'm tapping it. You'll be able to hear me over the XLR that you're listening to now, but I'm not recording over the USB at all. Now you're hearing me over the USB because I've untapped it. The problem is with the positioning of it, it is quite easy to accidentally tap that mic button and not really realize that you've done it. But it's really quiet when you do use it, so pros and cons to that. Just be careful when you touch it. As for how much noise this picks up when you touch it, it does pick up a little bit of noise, even on the sort of mic mount as well. And if I go and touch the boom arm, and also the desk, bang that a little bit, and you can sort of hear that. So it's not great at cancelling out some of those accidental knocks, but again, if you're careful with it, I actually think this sounds pretty good. And again, you are listening to this as is, with no audio processing, just out of the box. Now, moving on to the Maono PD200X, this is largely quite similar, but it does have some differences, if that makes any sense. So you've got the RGB that we talked about before. There is a button at the back for cycling through it in a similar manner to the AM8. So you can have some solid colors, or you can cycle through to going through the rainbow colors. The PD200X actually has a metal surround on the microphone, so it is a little bit of an upgrade over the AM8, and it's a metal surround around the mic capsule as well. You've got a button on the top which is a multifunction button, so that will actually cycle through, allowing you to adjust the gain of the mic and adjust the headset volume as well, because there's a 3.5mm jack on the back as well to plug in headphones. That is good because it minimizes the amount of buttons, but it can be hard to work out what level you're actually setting it to, because it just increases the brightness of the light or the LED around the outside to brighter or dimmer, depending on what you set it to. So it's not as easy to work out your level as it is, say, with the AM8, which is just a dial and you can kind of see the level that you're putting it at. But once you've set the level, it's something that you're unlikely to change again, so I'm not too bothered. What I'm more bothered about is the mute button on top, because whilst it was a capacitive mute button on top of the AM8, it's now a press button on top of the PD200X. The problem I have with that is that it has a very, very audible click when you press it. So you're listening over an XLR at the moment because the USB sound is now muted. Now that I've gone and clicked it again, we are now recording again over the USB of the PD200X. So the mute button's a bit annoying. So if you're gaming and streaming and you mute the button every now and again, everyone's going to hear that click. That's annoying. Other than that, the PD200X also comes with a shock mount and the AM8 doesn't. However, the shock mount is predominantly plastic. And by predominantly, I mean it is plastic. So it's not as robust a mount as the AM8 one, but it should protect it from more shocks. Whether that actually works, so this is just touching the PD200X. This is touching the shock mount itself, and this is touching the boom arm as well. So does this shock mount actually work and cut out and reduce more noise getting through to the PD200X than the AM8? I'll let you decide for yourself on that one. So now we're going to do some of the sound tests. You can hear the difference between both of these. One of the most important tests is your plosive test. So your P's and your B's, and how much are these mics going to cancel out or reduce that noise so that your voice is clearer and you're not into the mic. So the difference that this makes, if I take this off, if I now Peter Piper picked a piece of pickled pepper, now you would have heard that would have sounded terrible. Peter Piper picked a piece of pickled pepper. Now that does a lot better job cancelling out, and that's what these covers do. These covers are here to sort of cancel out those plosives so you actually sound better over your mic. Same goes here. You can hear the difference between the wind muff on and off. Peter Piper picked a piece of pickled pepper. Peter Piper picked a piece of pickled pepper. Another important check is keyboard pickup and keyboard noise. So if you're gaming and streaming, you don't really want your mic to be picking up the sound of you hacking away on your keyboard. So I am now hacking away on my keyboard, and you can hear how well both of these mics are picking up that keyboard noise over the top or behind me talking. So that's how good they are at cancelling out the background noise, or rather completely ignoring it, so you know what you're going to sound like if you're gaming and streaming and you're hacking away on your keys. From a sensitivity perspective, the AM8 is more sensitive over XLR than the PD200X. So if I'm looking at the recording levels that's just off camera, I can definitely tell that the AM8 is picking up more of my noise and more of my voice than the PD200X. Now you can correct that in whatever you're recording to adjust for that, but it is just something to bear in mind. Also worth checking out what the noise levels are like. So with no noise in the room, this is what both of these mics sound like. One thing that the PD200X does have that the AM8 doesn't is it has an app. This is the Maono Link software. This will work on both Mac and both PC. You can change things like the gain, and you can change the different tones. So if I wanted to sort of speak in a deeper tone, and that will make my voice sound a little bit deeper, the original one was here, and then you've got the natural tone that is here. If you go into advanced mode, you've got your high pass filter. The presence boost should make your audio or the vocals sound a little bit more pronounced. And then the last one is kind of doing a little bit of both. I will say that the app is fairly basic. So like the compressor, you can set the level at which the compressor kicks in, but you can't set the compressor ratio. I think the apps are nice to have. I wouldn't say it really makes a substantial difference between both these mics. Accessory wise, the AM8 comes with a USB-C cable, and it comes with either a bass stand or a boom arm depending upon which one you buy. There's no adapter for attaching it to a boom arm because it doesn't need one, because it has a 2-in-1 adapter screw, so 2 different size screws inside here, so it can attach to either without an adapter. That's very similar to what Rode do with their PodMic USB. Moving across to the Maono PD200X, that also comes with a USB-C cable, and it also has an adapter on the end for attaching to either a USB-A or a USB-C port. It does come with an adapter for attaching to a boom arm because it's only got a single size thread inside here rather than two. And it comes with a boom arm if you buy it with that combo. If you don't, it doesn't come with a base stand. And with both of these mics, if you want to use them over XLR, you will have to buy a cable extra. Price-wise, you can get the PD200X for around $70 or add about an extra $10 to get it with a boom arm. And the AM8 on its own, it comes with a base stand, and that's going to cost you $55. And then you can go and get it with various different options, such as the basic boom arm that I've got here. That adds about $10, $15 on top, so that will cost you around $68. Both of these microphones aren't heavy, so you don't need an overly expensive boom arm in order to hold that weight. Now, aesthetically, it doesn't look as nice as something like an Elgato low profile arm or something from Rode like the PSA-1, but it's functional and it does the job. And you definitely don't want a mic sitting on your desk because it's then going to pick up far more noise. So there you have it, two mics that for the price around that $50, $60, I think you get an awful lot for your money. They both have very similar features, and I think both of these for the price will pretty much serve you well. So which one of these did you prefer? Do let me know in the comments down below. I will leave purchase links in the video description as well, so you can go check them out for yourself. During making this video, one thing I've been really interested in is looking at the video quality between the Sony FX30 that I'm recording off here and the webcam that I've got over here. Now, whilst I don't think the webcam is as good, obviously, I do think that considering the low light of the room, I think the webcam does a pretty good job. And that's pretty much down to the bigger sensor that it has over other webcams that you might use. So I've been pretty impressed. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Oh, and if you're wondering what the webcam is, which probably helps, it's a Razer Kiyo Pro. If you do want to check out more gaming, streaming, podcasting accessories, then be sure to check out the link up here. If you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share it. Consider subscribing if you're not. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.